What's going on, guys? My name's Cliff, and this is another episode of Unpack That Bowl, the show where we take a deep dive into pop culture. Today, we tackle one of the most divisive sitcom debates from the 90s. Were Ross and Rachel on a break? So for those of you who don't know, and why are you here if you don't know, this problem centers around the episode, the one where Ross and Rachel take a break. So to give a little background, Ross and Rachel were the biggest will they, won't they couple of the 90s. Eventually, they will, but not without problems. Once together, Ross and Rachel started to have reoccurring arguments over Rachel's coworker, Mark, who Ross secretly suspected she was having an affair with. Rachel assured him that it was totally platonic, and it was, and that Mark wasn't interested in her, but he was. Eventually, Ross's paranoia overcame him, and the above conversation ensued. In the episode, Ross and Rachel were supposed to be celebrating their anniversary, but guess what? Rachel has to work. Standard adult shit. Ross gives Rachel's job with the picnic basket, and he's just generally in the way and annoying, standard child shit. She comes home that night to an argument, and when Ross mentions an ex, Rachel's had enough, so she announces that they need to take a break.
A break from us.
So while that's happening in this part of the episode, over here in this part, Joey and Chandler are at the bar with the hot girl from the Xerox place. Ross calls Rachel, hears Mark's voice in the background, so he goes joins them at the bar. Eventually, Joey and Chandler leaves, and now it's just Ross and a hot girl named Chloe. Chloe tries to cheer Ross up, even singing Ross's favorite song, but then eventually they kiss and Ross doesn't stop it. Episode ends. In the next episode, the one with the morning after, Ross has slept with Chloe. He wakes up to a voicemail from Rachel saying that she loves him and she'll be over soon. He sees her while he's hiding Chloe like a fucking R. Kelly music video, and he agrees to be her boyfriend again. Eventually, he does come clean to Joey and Chandler, and then he immediately tries to follow their advice by killing the trail that connects him to Chloe. Gunther tells Rachel about the affair, and then they have it out in the famous New York Bedstone. Rachel is reasonably pissed, and Ross asks her to put the past aside. Like, come on now, you still mad about that? That was a whole episode ago. That was last week. Let the past be the past. So, they break up. And obviously, if you watch these episodes, they were on a break. How is this a question? I mean, yeah, they were on a break, I guess, but Rachel tries to call Ross like 30 seconds later to call it off, but he's too busy having the saddest early celebration ever. This nigga was on a break for like 30 seconds and he's already at the bar trying to find some action, because you know Ross about that action. So let's just say that, yeah, the break was legitimate. I still think that Ross was being completely unreasonable by acting like Rachel had no reason to be upset. Come on, dog. Ross himself said that if Rachel had done the same thing, that he'd be, in his words, devastated. He went to huge lengths to hide the fact that he'd slept with someone from her, because he knew it'd be a problem, and she wouldn't approve of it. Immediately after the event, Rachel found out, and Ross sort of accepted some blame for how hurt she was, but even then, he really made it about his feelings and how he'd be without her. But as time went on, he's just stopped taking responsibility whatsoever, and he simply fell back on the but we were on a break as an excuse, as if that's totally legitimate. Like that magically clears him of all wrongdoing. No. You understand that what you did was hurtful. Honestly, when they discussed going on a break, they should have discussed the terms of the break and whether that meant they were free to see other people. But I do feel that they had an unspoken agreement that it was not okay, going by how both of them acted. So yes, they were on a break. And also, yeah, Rachel had a right to be heard. And also, Rachel has a right to accuse Ross of cheating. Maybe it's just me, but if my long-term boyfriend and I broke up in the heat of a moment during a fight, I really wouldn't consider us to be actually broken up until it was later reinforced to confirm when we were both calmer. And I actually think that it's shitty Ross heard that and went, well, I guess I'm broken up. Let's go cement that. Like, what, nigga? You can go home and sleep it off, or even do like a long sad guy stroll in the park. You got Central Park, you could have gone there. He just said, fuck it. Kick rocks feeling, I'm going nuclear, let's drown it down with some brown. So maybe technically they were on a break, but I can also see how Rachel would still feel like he was cheating. Plus, he lied about it, and he tried to cover it up. It's funny how your point of view changes as you grow and get older. Like when I first watched this, I thought Rachel was completely overreacting because they were on a break. But now that I'm older and I've had some time to grow and mature, I realize that Ross acted completely immature. It's definitely not straightforward. Like, you can't take things in the heel of the moment. So I think Ross handled this really poorly, and if I was Rachel, I would be completely upset and devastated. But I can already say Mark was at her apartment, and as a guy, I can absolutely see why Ross did what he did, and I understand that train of thought. Doesn't mean what he was right in any way, but yeah, I understand it. The writers actually set it up so both Ross and Rachel were justified in their choices, and if Ross didn't have a reason to think the relationship was over and more open, it would be harder to defend his actions. But from Rachel's perspective, Ross slept with that woman out of nowhere. Sure, given enough time and understanding, she was able to see Ross's point of view and get over it, but not in the way that she discovered it. And it's almost Shakespearean in a comedy of errors and misunderstandings. No one is really to blame here, but they broke up anyway. And it's done really clever here because they could have just broken up and been another excuse to just squeeze more life out of this show. But it was done really good. Like, let's look at Turk and Carla after they got married from the TV show Scrubs. The first couple of years were frustrating and complicated, but eventually they came together and they became the same person, and it almost became boring to watch them interact in a show about personal conflicts. Scrubs had crafted a too likable couple. It took them years to do it, but the drama became rather flat, and the show was harder to maintain after that. They instead started relying too heavily upon JD and Elliot's drama, which became just a chore to enjoy. Friends wanted the show to go on, but they already seemingly hit their happy ending. They needed a way to undo the ideal relationship in a way that wouldn't make fans upset. Instead, we all just became upset at each other for joining Team Ross or Team Rachel. I think the whole question, were they on a break, is misleading, because clearly, yes, they were on a break. The break and what happened on the break is not the main issue. The main issue is that Ross did not trust, respect, or support Rachel. So for that I say, fuck you and your break, Ross. Kick rocks, my nigga. But if I'm being real, Ross and Rachel deserve each other because they are about the worst friends. But I'll get into that later. So they were on a break, but they weren't broken up. They weren't even doing like a trial separation. It was simply that Ross had insecurities undealt with, and because of that, he betrayed a woman he loved since high school. Way to fuck that up, Ross. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you think Ross was right in his actions. Let me know down in the comments if you think that they were on a break or not, even though they were. And I don't know, what would you guys do if you were Rachel? Because I would have dropped that nigga. As always, I'm Cliff, and this has been Unpack That Bowl.